Hello, Green Wave Nation. We welcome you to this year's first episode of the Coach Larry Mofield Show. And we'd like to welcome Coach Larry Mofield.
Thanks for having me, Chad. Thank you.
Coach has been the head coach here at Meade County football program for...
It's been a while, about 20 years. I've been here 34. I was fortunate to be with Coach French for 14 years. So it's been a long run. It's been a fun run. I've enjoyed it. It's a great place to be, great community. Great place to raise a family, and a good school system. And I have fortunate to have 3 children have all come through Meade County school system. And my wife teaches here in the district, so we've been blessed to be here for a long time.
Well, I know you was here in the early to mid 90s.
Been here a while. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
We had some times together.
Yes, it's been fun. It's nice to see a lot of older faces, which means I'm older. So but I've enjoyed it.
Well, I guess to start off, we'll go backwards first.
Okay.
Y'all have got 2 scrimmages under your belt, and then we went down to Henderson last Friday night, so maybe talk about what you saw in that game.
Well,
heartbreaker.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker. We scrimmaged Owensboro Catholic and Hart County. OCAT didn't go real well. We fumbled a ball once and threw 2 pick sixes, and we got a little bit behind the 8 ball, so to speak, and gave them 21 points. They're an outstanding football team with an outstanding quarterback. So, but once we settled down, we played better. And even though it was a kind of a beating as far as score-wise, we still got some things out of it. And then the following week, we go to Hart County. And Hart County's got a very good team. They'll probably win 9, 10, 11, 12 games. I don't know. They're pretty good. They're senior-dominated. Plus, they had about 6 to 10 kids, I think, that came back on that 5th-year COVID deal. So, they were experienced. They've got some kids that are, probably 19 years old.
Really?
But anyway, so they're a good team. It's a good look for us. Then we go to Henderson. Very good Henderson team. Some people may remember last fall we got beat against Henderson County in playoffs. And Henderson was one of the best teams in the state, in my opinion, last year. Eventually, I think they barely lost to Male, maybe in the third round. They beat us in the second. They had 11 seniors last year on defense, and one at least Division I kid, maybe a couple of more. But they're good, well-coached, physical football team. So we go there this past Friday night and kind of have a barn burner. Didn't really expect that. Didn't know what we could do offensively yet because we had I wouldn't say we necessarily struggled in the scrimmages, but we didn't put up a lot of points, and we were able to go down to Henderson and put up 34 points, but we needed the last 2 that we couldn't put on the board to make it 36-35, and even we went for 2, and we would have gone for 2 no matter what. We couldn't have gotten into an overtime game with them because their quarterback's outstanding. He's like a fullback playing quarterback. We were having a hard time tackling him. I think their coach told me he power cleans 315 pounds. So anyone that doesn't believe in a weight program should look at a program like Henderson County, who their kids live in the weight room, and you can tell by their physical stature Friday night. And I always challenge our kids, especially when now I wouldn't say we got out physical Friday night, but we were outsized a little bit, and those are things that we can control to a certain extent. We can't control our height, but we challenge our kids every off season. You got to put on some weight because football is a physical sport, and the bigger you are, there's no guarantee you're going to be safer, but it sure does help. If you weigh 150, if you can get up to 170, in a couple of years, it's going to help you on the football field. So Henderson County's physical football team, I thought we played really, really hard. We made some mistakes. If there was any disappointing thing in the game, I would say it was probably we got a couple of unnecessary penalties, and that's disappointing because we have to have better self-control. That's not Meade County football. Meade County football is discipline, hard-nosed, but getting a couple of those penalties really hurt us. And the officials, and I'm not saying they were bad calls, they were probably good calls, but sometimes you get baited into things, and I think our kids retaliated, and they always catch the second person.
Yeah.
And it never fails, probably for the last, several years. I've told our kids, I said, think of the worst thing that can be done to you, said to you, is probably going to happen during the game. you can't react to it. You have to have better self-control than that. And but anyway, it was a good game. I mean, it's one of those games where you lay down at night, and I think other than the foolish penalties we had, I think we laid it all on the line, and our kids represented Meade County High School well, I thought.
Well, and because I've been to both the scrimmages, and then, for those that don't know, you lost most of your offense last year, if not all of it. Do you have one return?
Yeah. We not only did we lose, we lost 3 interior linemen. We lost Nick Finn, we lost Dylan Bratcher and Caleb Hinton. We lost our quarterback, Andrew Millay. We lost Jacob Lacefield in the backfield. We lost Jace Bevan as a wideout. Garrett Heiner. On defense, we lost Jay Fortner. We lost some. We didn't have a large number of seniors last year, but I tell you what, they went to battle. And most people won't give you a lot of credit for a 6-6 year, but I tell you what, and we left a couple on the field we probably could have won. But I'm telling you what, those seniors really, I felt like, restored some pride in what we were trying to do, and we owe a lot of gratitude to them. And yeah, you talking about big shoes to fill. We lost some 3 interior linemen that are big, and that it goes back again. You can't really overstate the importance of the size up there. I mean, we had 2 guards that were 300 pounds plus, and the center was about 240. And for nothing else, they take up space. And then not only did they take up space, they were great kids to coach, and they got to become better football players. And Jacob Lacefield will probably tell you that it really helped him last year to have those guys. He was a senior. We filled his spot with a sophomore and Cruz Redmond. Cruz has done a good job, but think of how good, if Cruz sticks with it, how good he's going to be by the time he's a senior. But Jacob Lacefield ran his heart out last fall, and was a big loss for our program, but a great young man. So we miss those guys.
Well, and that was what was good to see Friday night, because you could tell the unit looked a lot more comfortable in its shoes. Cade looked comfortable back there, and I got to looking at this, at least on the state page, and we outgained them by about 20, 30 yards.
Yeah, we had offensively, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised. You don't never go in the game thinking you're going, and I don't, not to discredit Henderson in any way at all, because they got an outstanding football team, but we probably left a few more points. You take some of those penalties off, we may have could have scored a few more. We had a huge holding penalty called, and again, I'm not going to get on the officials, because you probably call holding every time. But man, that was a tough one, because we were really moving it, and I thought the block was pretty good. Officials didn't think it, but that's life, But you have to overcome those things. But yeah, I thought Cade really played well. Not only, he ran the ball, 15, 20 times, I think. You got the stats. I know he threw it for 35 times.
He ran for 123 yards, and it was like 16 or 17 times.
That, and he took a huge shot, not from a player, but from a player hit him, obviously, but he fell on his shoulder, probably second or third play of the game, and I think he played with a bad shoulder the entire game, and we didn't know it till after the game, and I think it says a lot about him, and we got a lot of kids that did that. I thought offensively we can when we're catching it and blocking up front, like I thought our offensive line did a pretty good job. Now there's a couple times that Cade had to step up and make some plays, and he did. Quarterbacks have to do that. You can't be perfect up front. I thought our slots we have 4 or 5, maybe even 6 kids that can catch the football. Now, none of them are game changers as far as running a 4.3 or 4.40, but they can get some yards after the catch. They're possession type receivers that run good routes and are fun kids to coach. And as they get better and maybe over their careers get a little bit faster, they might be game changer type kids. But right now they're possession receivers. That's what we need them to do, catch football. And they did a good job of that. I thought defensively, I thought Aiden Millay had a heck of a game at outside linebacker. You talk about a kid that, and that goes back to size. He probably weighs, I'm guessing 150, 155 pounds. And man, he plays like he weighs 300 pounds. He just throws his body around, and he's fun to coach. He plays a little bit on the edge sometimes, and I think football you have to have a little bit of that, because He's not going to go out there and outsize anybody, but I guarantee there was nobody throwing their body around like he was for either team Friday
He's
night.
wide open.
Yeah, he's wide open. That's a good example. So, yeah, I thought we had a lot of kids that, and, obviously Cade would probably tell you if he were standing here that he couldn't do what he did without his offensive line. I think defensively, we had a couple of big stops in the second half. I'll just be honest. I told somebody this today. I told our staff, I said, let's onside kick it first. We were had to kick off second half. Said let's onside kick it. I don't know if we can stop them. That was no discredit to our kids. It was a credit to number 11. I mean, he's a man, and he's a man, in a high school body. He can play. He's a good player, and I didn't know if we could stop him. Well, our kids proved me wrong. We went out there and got 2 stops in the second half that were maybe 3, but I know at least 2 that were huge, and that was a big turning point in the game. So credit to Coach Scott and his defensive staff. We're not, I'm sure people in the stands will say, Coach, how come you can't do this, that? And this is no excuse. It's a reality. We're not real big on defense. We got to make plays with our athleticism. We got to do some things, take some chances at times, because it's hard to sit in there against a team with bigger size and have a slugfest. You just can't. Yeah. And that's something we can't control. We're not going to make excuses for it. We're just going to do the best we can. And, Friday night's a game, if we won it, we were going to probably have to outscore them. Obviously you have to outscore them to win anyway, but I'm talking about a high-scoring type game. So, but I thought our kids left it all on the field, and I really couldn't ask any more than just clean up some of the unnecessary penalties.
Well, I know I saw Coach Scott on the sideline at halftime. He came back to get his board and got kind of banged up on defense. You were a little banged up coming into the game, weren't you?
Yeah, well, and that's another thing that, a couple of reasons. We try to protect the kids, what we say about their injuries and all, but also that would have been one of the, had we been able to pull the game out, it would have been one of the best, sweetest victories I've been a part of in a long time, knowing what we know on the inside about what the adversity that we had to overcome, because not only were we playing a good opponent, we were playing against ourselves a little bit, because we did a couple of foolish things that we can control, we don't need to do. But we're also playing a little bit undermanned, and that's not something we go out and talk about a lot, because life's going to kick you and deal you bad blows. You better react to them. You can't make any excuses. We teach our kids don't make any excuses, and they weren't. And so that would have been pretty sweet. But it was also nice to see our kids come together, and we were right there. Had a golden opportunity, had a chance at a 2-pointer. We didn't convert. Even if we'd have gotten a 2-point conversion, we would have still had to stop them, and we were having trouble doing that a little at times. So, but we got a lot to build on. We got a lot to work toward. That's one game. I don't think our kids are the type of kids going to let one game define their season. We've come back this week, and we've had a good, we've had to do things different because of the heat. But to our kids' credit, our attendance in the morning practice has probably been around 98, 99%, which is outstanding. So that's a credit to them. It's a credit to their parents, their loved ones whom they live with, that take pride in getting in here. And we got some kids that don't have that support system that do it all on their own. It's pretty amazing, So hats off to our kids. I think that's the type of character kids we're blessed to coach around here.
Because, I'm talking about that, for those that don't know, y'all have had to move up to 6 in the morning practices this week, which
And I've been, we our freshmen practice with us, and I've been pleasantly surprised. We've had most of our freshman kids here, and I don't think the thing about, like in the summer we practice in the mornings. Now obviously we don't practice at 6, but we practice at 8. And I tell the parents at our spring meeting, I said, our priority is player safety, and football is already a dangerous enough game in and of itself. But I'm not going to put a kid out there at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the summer when the hottest part of the day. We get our stuff done. Well, same this week. I mean, obviously everybody's in the same boat. We're not isolated. We're the same. So it can't be an excuse for our kids, because everybody's going through it. So they've showed up. We've had about 1 hour and 20-minute practice sessions, because we're going to get to school on time. They're not going to delay school for a football team to come to class late. So all the kids, I think, for the most part, have made the class on time. They've gotten a chance to eat breakfast. And I think they like it. They go in there after practice, they shower, and they play the music real loud. And honestly, it's kind of a good way to start the day. It's kind of like getting up and exercising in the morning. It starts your day off right. Then they got the afternoons off, although they can't do a whole heck of a lot when it's 110 or 12 heat index outside. But maybe they can go home and relax a little bit. And So, everybody's in the same boat. Other schools, I don't know what they're doing. I'd say they either got to do something similar or they're going in the gym. But I think everybody will come out Friday night. Nobody's that's what's going to be difficult. The KHSAA talks about acclimation, rightfully so. I'm not sure anybody's going to be acclimated to this on Friday night, any team, because it's going to be tough. So it's going to be one of those things where, kids we're going to have to fight through it. And we've delayed our game. It's going to be at 8:30 Eastern start instead of a 7:30 start. But with that being said, we still have to warm up at 7. So, 7:30. So that means we're going to be out there. Now, we can obviously go out, no helmet, shoulder pads, and do a lot of our warm up. But at some point, we got to put them on because, you got to play with them on. So who knows? I think there might be some schools across the state that have already canceled to go to Saturday night. Hopefully, it doesn't matter. Whatever is for player safety is what we're going to do. Football is my top priority. If they tell us to come play on Saturday, we'll play on Saturday. Because that's what I do. That trumps everything else this time of year. So.
Well, talking about Friday, I know you've had plenty of time now to watch the film. Plus, it's a familiar foe. What are you seeing with this matchup against E-town Panthers?
E-town, they're senior dominated. I think they have 19 or 20 seniors. They have a new coaching staff over there. They used to be primarily a wing T type team. I still think they'll do some of that. They'll do it out of the spread, shotgun. They like to run fullback trap, buck sweep. Those are wing T things that a lot of teams run. They've got some outstanding players. They've got a lot of good skill positions. I think they've lost a few linemen from last year, but they've got enough skilled kids to do some things with the ball. So it'll be a matchup. We'll have to play. We'll have to continue to improve on offense and score. We're not going to shut anybody out, I don't think. Now, down the road, maybe, as our defense improves and we get some people back, we may be in a position to do that, but it's going to be tough, I do like our defense from an athleticism standpoint. I think we can run and do some things that we hadn't been able to do in years past, but we're not going to out-physical anybody typically, or size anybody, I would say. So we'll have to play good defense, stop the run. That's the most important thing. If a team can come in and run it down your throat, they never have to throw it. And consequently for us, on the flip side, we've got to be able to run the ball. We didn't do a great job of running it Friday night, other than I think Cade was able to make some plays and we ran it. And at times we blocked well. We got to get Cruz going. Cruz is a kid for us that potentially is a game breaker type kid. I mean, he's extremely fast, and we can get him going in the run game. I thought our special teams this past Friday night they didn't get us beat. When we got to continue to improve, and that's an area I always worry about in that first game, because Coach Trotter does a great job coaching our special teams, and he always gets the short end of the stick. We can sit in there and we can make a practice schedule and we can say, here's what we're going to do, but it never works out that way. And a guy with his demeanor handles it well. He takes what he gets. He does a good job. He's great with the kids, and it's a tough job, because if you say it's a true third of the game, I can promise you it doesn't get a true third of the time. It probably gets slighted, and I would say we're not any different in most programs, because you punt a few times in practice. We have a kicker, Nolan Poole, that cannot be here most of the time of the week because he plays soccer. We understand that. This is top priority. But when he can get here, it helps, because, I think at some point he's going to get a little bit bigger and stronger. He may be able to get the ball closer to the end zone. We missed a long field goal down at Hart County, but I'm glad we tried it, because, as probably a 40-plus yarder, we came up a little short, but he needs to be in those situations. The kids were hooping and hollering on the sidelines, the opposing team, to try to get him to miss it. And, you need to be in those environments like that, because who knows, he may win one for us down the road.
And he had that thing dead center, just a tad short.
Right, yeah. But, and he's got some ability. So, but back, our special teams, I think if we can continue to improve in those, and that's a third of the game. If we can make some play, and that's the other thing, if you can make a play in that area, if you can recover an onside kick or block a punt or something like that, or if you can return a kickoff one of the biggest momentum swings in the game is a kickoff return. It either happened at the beginning of the game, at halftime, or it happened after you've scored, or your opponents have scored and you've stolen that momentum back. So it's a big play in the game, and it'd be nice. We have 2 kids back there, I think, that can return one. You know, we had some. Connor Cole had a couple of nice ones the other night, but we got to do a better job blocking on those. And we try to get some younger guys in on that too. So it's an opportunity for them to play. So, which is good because they deserve it. So, but we got to continue to grow in all 3 phases of the game, and don't let 1 or 2 phases of the game get us beat.
Yeah. Well, I thought the special teams was going to come up huge that last kickoff after our last touchdown.
Yeah.
You kicked it kind of short to the side, and the 2 guys ran into each other trying to catch it. And, unluckily, it didn't bounce out.
Yeah,
The one held on.
There's some people that question why we kicked it short like that. Well, like I said, if it were up to me, and I lean on my staff too. I don't do everything on my own because it's about us. It's not about me. And but I would have probably had the opening kickoff as an onside kick, just to try to steal some, because they were up 21-14. What if they go up 28-14? It's going to be tough, Points are hard to come by, and now obviously at the end, I didn't know we'd end up with 34 points at the end of the game if I'd have known that. But we have potential if we can stay healthy, I think, to move the ball on offense. Just because I think, we've got some guys out there. I thought Bennett Hobbs played well at the wideout. He's a kid that can play so many. And you're talking about a kid that you've asked to play a ton of positions. I mean, he has to get reps at running back. He has to get reps at slot. He has to get reps at wide receiver. He has to get reps at quarterback. I mean, we're asking a lot of a young man to do that, but that's the position we're in. He started at safety for us last year too, so he's capable. He's capable physically. He's capable mentally to do those things.
Well, because the whole preseason, him and Cade were switching out at quarterback, and then the first series of the game, Cade connects with Bennett for that big touchdown to really get it going.
Well, I think the thing that strikes me about both those young men, you have to make a decision at some point. Every program, every coach that's ever coached, you have to make a decision who's going to start and who's going to be the backup. And what we told those kids is, regardless of who starts, you may be in the second play, or you may be in the next game, or you may be in. You never know. You have to prepare like you're going to be the starter, even though you may not get all the reps in the week. We're blessed to have 2 young men that we feel like can play quarterback. And but I've also been here, and I told those guys a story. I've been here so many years that a few years ago we lost our starter and our backup, and we were down to our 3rd string, who was a wide receiver. We had to cancel a JV game that week just so we could get him ready to play, and all we did was hand the ball off. So I've been in a situation where we've lost quarterbacks, and I told those guys, I said, I'd like to have 5 or 6 competing for one spot. You can't have enough of those. I mean, and competition brings out the best. I think those 2 guys will tell you they each got better as they competed against each other. And now, and both of them are going to be on the field in some capacity. We're not talking about a kid that's going to not be the quarterback and go stand on the sidelines for 2 hours. Bennett's out there about 99% of the game. He probably didn't come off the field. He's our long snapper too. So I think Bennett's a young man, and Cade, they both want to win. If you told them they had to play right or left tackle, I think they'd both do it if they knew they could get a win. So that's the kind of character those guys are.
Can't have enough of those.
No, you're right. So you're right, Chad. You're right.
Well, and just to wrap up with the freshman team was supposed to play Saturday. But,
it's been a struggle a little bit. I started a few years ago. This year we're doing a freshman and sophomore combination team because we were worried about our freshman numbers, and it was going to kind of work out because our sophomore numbers are pretty good. Well, I've got them a 9-game schedule. We were supposed to play this Thursday at Owensboro, and we knew Coach Fallon and I are good friends. He's the head coach at OHS, Owensboro High School. We've been in constant communication, and we knew that if we go down there and we try to start at 6, which most freshman games, freshmen, JVs all start at 6, we weren't going to be able to because of the heat. They have turf just like us. So we said, let's move it to Saturday, because he knew that we didn't want to be back down there to 1 or 2 o'clock trying to get a game in, and the kids have to come back to school on a Friday. So we pushed the game to Saturday. Well, we talked about it, and so I'd agreed to it. We're going to try to do it Saturday about noon. The problem with that was, since they already had a game scheduled on Monday, they were going to be limited to the number of quarters their kids could play, so they could only play 6-minute quarters. So what we have to weigh as a program is we're going to spend 4 hours on the road for kids to play 24 minutes of football. Now, so I don't think, and he agreed that wasn't the prudent thing for us to do, so we canceled that game. What I did was I put out on a listserv that goes to every coach in the state of Kentucky, inviting him to come to Meade County to try to get a game. So far, it wasn't able to get anyone, but it's tough when you're scaling these games, and I know sometimes parents don't know what we go through behind the scenes. We want all of our kids to play because we feel like, number one, it's a reward for you going through your practice. They need to play. That's the way they get better, and that's kind of the reward for what they've done during the week. I don't like canceling games or having games canceled on us, but sometimes the thing we couldn't control in this one was the weather. Even on Saturday, we probably would have been pushing the limits, and because it's still going to be, today I saw it's going to be 92 on Saturday, so we still would have probably been out on the skirts of heat. And the last thing you want to do is for a young man or a young person to go down. And I mean, like I said earlier, football is a risky endeavor just under normal conditions. But then you go out there and a young man goes down because of the heat. You can't live with that as a coach. It's tough. It'd be hard to live with a kid getting hurt just in regular competition. But if a young man goes down because of the heat, that's on us. So now sometimes things happen that you can't control, but you can't put them out there. The KHSAA has guidelines. I think they're great. They're easy. It's pretty much, it's cut and dry. They have concussion guidelines. It's cut and dry. Here's what you got to do. So that's how we wound up with no freshman game. And maybe one will come open, but right now we don't. We will play Thursday, the next Thursday against Bullitt East at home, so that's going to be pretty cool. And I might be able to squeeze another one in there, but kids do need a rest period. That's the reason Owensboro could not, because they were going to play Saturday, and they played Friday night. Some of those kids for them would have played Friday night, Saturday, and Monday.
Oh, wow.
And you're limited to 8 quarters within a week period.
Oh.
So and again, those are things that, it's built in there. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I mean, because there have been some injuries over the years with young men playing, back-to-back. And sometimes we don't know, as coaches, we tell our kids, let us know. The days of getting your bell rung kind of deals are over anymore. It's, the doctors or kid gets a concussion, they need some time to recuperate. And we've done some stuff to kind of mitigate that. We bought our kids guardian caps this year. We had a little fundraiser, and it was pretty simple for us to think what we're going to do with the money. We bought them guardian caps, and now that's not going to do away with concussions, but it dang sure helps during practice. We wear them every day during practice.
Yeah.
And, I think there's going to be a move, maybe going into next season. I wouldn't be, and I don't know this, I'm just speculating that high school sports may allow kids to wear guardian caps during the game. It's not going to eliminate concussions, because there's a whiplashing effect that takes place that you don't have any control over. That's not a guardian cap or helmet issue. That could happen in a car wreck. But
yeah.
I do think it will help, and I would be a proponent of that, because I think, the game's changed over the years. Players have gotten bigger, faster, stronger. Just look at the NFL all the way down to college. I mean, it's a different game. You got guys that are 300-something pounds running around like, skill kids, little skill kids.
Running faster than running backs.
Right. So it's a different game.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to preserve the game. I think as our job as coaches is do what we're supposed to do to preserve the game, because I still think it's a worthwhile endeavor for young men to participate in. And that's the reason I've done it for as long as I've done it. I still think there's a lot of things that we can teach in this game that we may not be able to teach in the halls of the high school or other places, and because I think it's worthy to have it around. It's worthy for young men to play.
Oh, absolutely. It's life skills.
Right.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking the time, and we wish you the best of luck.
Well, I enjoyed it. Anytime, Chad, we can promote our program and what these young men do. These young men put a lot into this, and it's not easy. I still think football's the toughest game around, and anybody that would want to challenge that, come and watch what they go through. I mean, I love all other sports, and I think it's great. But I'm telling you, there aren't too many sports where you put a suit or armor on and you go out in the heat, the cold, and you do the things that we ask these young men to do. And it's special. And there's nothing like 11 guys in a huddle. You know, anybody that's played, you remember. You'll remember it for the rest of your life. And I remember it. You know, I'll never forget it. I mean, to come together for a common a goal and to try to get a first down, to try to stop your opponent. I mean, there's nothing else like it.
No.
And it's a wonderful game, and we got to try to preserve it with safety and try to do the right things.
Absolutely. Well, we thank everybody for tuning in, and make sure you come out this Friday night. The game has been moved back to 8:30. It's right here at Hamilton Field, and I'm sure Coach Mofield and these young men would love to have everybody filling that stand up and rooting them on in their first home game. Thank you all.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.